Hello, my name is Karen Blankenship. I'm a doctoral student at Florida Atlantic University and an active nurse practitioner. You can find my blog on the web at healthycomm.net. This is the third educational session in a series of 6. The title is Dietary Fats and Health. Biochemists Evans and Burr in 1929 found that humans must obtain essential fatty acids from the foods we eat, since animals do not have the enzymes necessary to synthesize them. Yet, while essential fatty acid deficiencies, whether occurring in infants or adults, cause numerous health problems, Americans generally tend to consume too much fat, and it is fairly rare to see deficiencies. Fats provide delicious flavor and taste to foods, but too much fat contributes substantially to our energy, calorie intake, and too much of the wrong types of fats can increase the risk of disease. Diets high in fat, especially saturated fat and cholesterol, are most associated with dyslipidemia and increased heart disease risk. Interestingly, according to Wang, Froelich, and Ignaszewski, 2011, even though the prevalence of dyslipidemia is more than 50% in individuals ages 45 to 84 years, making it the leading cause of death in North America, more than half are not treated pharmacologically. Diets high in saturated fats, remember these are the fats like butter and lard that are solid at room temperature, appear to decrease LDL cholesterol uptake into cells and thus contribute to hypercholesterolemia. Oxidation of cholesterol within the blood lipoproteins is associated with increased plaque formation in the blood vessels and heart disease risk. Diets high in monounsaturated fats help to decrease LDL cholesterol oxidation. Diets high in polyunsaturated fats, especially the two omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, diminish inflammation, reduce platelet aggregation, and can reduce blood pressure in those with hypertension, and can reduce serum triglycerides in those with hypertriglyceridemia. Foods high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids are also important, as the omega-6 fatty acids are needed for the production of important hormones and other compounds in the body. Thus, both of these types of polyunsaturated fats are needed in our diets. In fact, the essential fatty acid linoleic acid is an omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acid, and the essential fatty acid alpha-linolenic acid is an omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acid. Several studies have investigated the health effects of adding omega-3 fatty acids to the diet, most commonly by adding fish oils. Those with type 2 diabetes also benefit from increased intakes of omega-3 fatty acids with reductions in serum triglycerides. Wheeler and others, 2010. Zhang, Picard-Deland, and Merritt in 2013 also found that 80 grams a day of oily fish intake may reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes by 20%. According to Block and Kawasmi, 2011, ingestion of omega-3 fatty acids enabled a small but significant improvement of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in 10 trials involving 699 children. Indirect benefits are also attained, as increases in fish consumption often result in reductions in red meat consumption, which has been associated with increased risk for some cancers in some studies. Wang and others, 2011. Consumption of foods rich in both omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids are important for health. Cold water fish is one of the richest food sources for the two omega-3 fatty acids EPA and DHA. Included are sea bass, bronzini, herring, anchovies, Atlantic and Pacific, mackerel, salmon, wild and farmed, sardines, Chilean sea bass, and trout, wild and farmed. They typically provide about 500 milligrams of EPA and DHA per 3.5-ounce serving. Lesser amounts, about 150 to 500 milligrams EPA and DHA per 3.5-ounce serving. Of these fatty acids are found in blackfish, cod, Atlantic, catfish, sole, flounder, haddock, halibut, perch, swordfish, tilapia, hake, as well as clams, scallops, shrimp, and crab, Alaskan king. Fish such as cod, Pacific, grouper, mahi-mahi, red snapper, monkfish, skate, triggerfish, tuna, wahoo, and lobster provide less than 150 milligrams EPA and DHA per 3.5-ounce serving. Good sources of the omega-3 essential fatty acid alpha-linoleic acid include nuts and seeds, especially flax seeds and walnuts, wheat germ, soybeans, oils, especially canola, flaxseed, and soybean, and margarines made from canola or soybean oils. Omega-6 fatty acids are also found in nuts, especially pine nuts and walnuts, seeds, especially pumpkin and sunflower, as well as a variety of vegetable oils like corn, cottonseed, safflower, sesame, soybean, and sunflower, and salad dressings made from these oils. How much omega-3 fatty acids should people consume? Suggested intakes of omega-3 fatty acids vary. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans 2010 recommend 8 ounces or more of cooked seafood to be consumed weekly to provide an average 250 milligrams per day of EPA and DHA. The American Heart Association recommends consuming 4 ounces of fatty fish at least 2 times weekly to provide approximately 250 to 500 milligrams per day. Unfortunately, most Americans do not consume enough of these omega-3 fatty acid-rich foods. For those with hypertriglyceridemia or hypertension, higher amounts of EPA and DHA, about 1 to 2 grams per day, appear to be needed to improve the serum lipid profile and blood pressure. Are there other recommendations for intakes of other fats? The Food and Nutrition Board of the Institute of Medicine recommends that total fats provide about 20 to 35% of energy in our diet, and saturated fats represent not more than 10% of energy. The American Heart Association recommends slightly lower amounts that are less than 7% of energy from saturated fat. More specific recommendations are also available for the essential fatty acids. Alpha-linolenic acid recommendations for men are at 1.6 grams per day, and for women are at 1.1 grams per day. Linoleic acid recommendations are about 5 to 10% of energy from fat, or 17 grams per day for men and 12 grams per day for women. The American Heart Association recommends that intakes of trans fats be less than 1% of total energy. Similarly, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans suggest that trans fat intake be kept as low as possible. Trans fats are found primarily in processed foods. Because most food manufacturers have reduced or eliminated trans fats from processed food products, it is now easier for the consumer to limit intakes of such fats. Are there dangers from getting too much omega-3 fatty acids? Consumption of excess omega-3 fatty acids could result in uncontrolled bleeding, especially in those with decreased blood clotting or as in a hemorrhagic stroke. While a recent meta-analysis suggests that intakes of 3 to 4 grams per day of EPA and DHA are safe, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 3 grams EPA plus DHA per day to decrease the bleeding risk. Therefore, supplements should be followed by providers' recommendations. Answers to other questions you may have about fats. What are good sources of monounsaturated fats? Foods rich in monounsaturated fats include avocado, nuts, especially almonds, cashews, filberts, hazelnuts, macadamia nuts, peanuts, pecans, and pistachios, peanut butter, sesame seeds, olives, and oils such as canola, olive, peanut, and sesame. Are there dangers of getting too much mercury from eating fish? Fish that are higher in mercury include larger species of fish such as shark, swordfish, king mackerel, tilefish, and tuna. According to the American Heart Association, these fish should be avoided, and they report that the benefits of fish consumption 2 times per week are greater than the risks, even for those who are pregnant, nursing, and for young children. Albacore white tuna has more mercury than canned light tuna. Does heating oil affect its fat content? When oils are heated to frying temperature above their smoke point, that is the temperature the oil starts to burn, oxygen is added to the double bonds in the polyunsaturated fatty acids. This oxidation process changes the flavor of the oil. To avoid this problem, one can carefully watch the temperature of the oil to keep it from burning. Additionally, choosing oils that are higher in monounsaturated fatty acids can be helpful, as these oils tend to be more stable to oxidation than others. Are some fish high in sodium? Pickled or smoked herring is high in sodium with over 240 milligrams of sodium in an ounce. Choose fresh herring, as it is considered as good a source of the fats as salmon. Canned anchovies can contain 1,000 milligrams of sodium in an ounce, which is more than 40% of the 2,300 milligram daily sodium limit recommendation. Use as a flavor enhancer in dressings or pasta sauces. Sardines are high in sodium, but considered by some to be a superfish, low in mercury and economical. So drain and use in sauces or as salad toppings. What we have learned so far: increase intake of fiber-rich foods, 50% from whole grains. Check food labels for content. Decrease intake of simple sugars. Read food labels. Sugar-free does not mean free of carbohydrate or free of calories. Decrease intake of saturated fats and trans fats. Increase intake of unsaturated fats, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, with consumption of fish twice weekly, olive oil, nuts, and seeds. Continue to track your consumption by journaling what you eat. Enjoy your food. Be satisfied, but eat less. Thank you for your support, and let us continue to support one another, cheering you onward to create health, reduce chronic disease, and to achieve an ideal weight. I want to thank you for watching and invite you to read the corresponding articles at healthycomm.net.